Welcome, everybody, to Roar Stories. I'm John Merrill Kirkman. I'm so excited to be here. Many of you know I'm the host of Walking with the Savior podcast, where I interview Christians in their journey with the Savior. But today, I'm the proud guest host of Roar Stories, sponsored by extendtherose.org. Each Roar story is housed in the beautiful Roar Gallery on YouTube channel, where everyday victories plant seeds of hope for others going through challenges. Because the human race was never meant to be run alone, and hope is a team sport. Here in the gallery, we believe everything is simple. Hope is the one thing that multiplies when we give it away. When life gets hard, we roar. We never give up. Roar is a simple, never give up formula. R for rise to the moment. O, face the obstacle. A, take action that moves you forward. And R, celebrate the results so someone else knows victory is possible too. Every story in this gallery follows that path, and today we're adding another legacy of hope to this gallery. So if you think this is something that is interesting and valuable to you, please hit like and subscribe, share it with friends as we spread hope throughout the world. Today we are here with an amazing guest, Nicole Kernohan. Did I say it right, Nicole?
That's correct. Yep, Nicole
Oh,
Kernohan.
thank you so much. Hey, Nicole, tell us a little bit about what you do, who you are, and then we'll get more into your story.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being here. I'm really, really grateful and honored to be able to be a part of the Roar Stories, to be able to really provide hope, right? That's what we all need. And so I thank you so much for having me today. So right now I am a coach and I work in the positive psychology and mindset field. So hopefully I can throw in a little nuggets today while I'm sharing my story that'll positively influence others. I'm here in Canada, so I just live just outside Toronto, Canada, and I am married and I have one son, and he's 10 actually. And I absolutely love spreading positivity. I just wrote my book last year, Audacious Joy, and I just love being able to kind of help individuals see a different perspective, not necessarily in what they see, but in how they see it and how they see things and how much and how quickly even that can shift how people experience life. So I'm super grateful to be here. Thanks for having me.
Wow, that's a perfect fit for what we do. So, as we start with our rise, what's a victory or, proud thing that something that you've had to overcome in your life? Because every victory comes with its hurdles along the way. What is something that you feel like has a big victory for you in your life that you've overcome you want to share with people today?
Well, I think one of the biggest victories or things that I've overcome, and I know this kind of comes in with the O as well. Um, it was when I was 21 years old, and
You look
I
21.
I looked 21. I was 21 years old, and that's over 21 years ago. So
Oh,
put that math together. So when I was 21 years old, and I started to lose the functionality of the right side of my body. I was in university, I was a student, and I just started to get numb and tingling. My face started to get a little droopy, my legs started, and it was as if my brain was no longer sending signals. Like I would just be because was starting to not be able to control the right side. And over the next week, it turned into full paralysis on the right side of my body.
oh my gosh, that is so terrifying.
And it was it was absolutely a shock. It's like and the unknown of that, right? And I know I'm sure there are listeners here who are just, it's this grief of what you thought the future was going to look like, and now this kind of knowing that there's as uncertainty of what is going to happen. I was initially diagnosed as a stroke because of the symptoms. And there was one lesion in my brain, and then I had paralysis on the right side. Later, it was actually diagnosed as multiple sclerosis. When they found multiple lesions in my on the brain scan through the MRI, they diagnosed it as multiple sclerosis, which for those who don't know, it's a typically a degenerative condition, and there's different forms, but it does typically cause degeneration over time, continued loss of function, potentially in a wheelchair. You can't see me if you're just listening, or even if you're watching the video, but I'm fully functioning. I'm standing, I'm moving, I do CrossFit, I do a lot of physical things. So I have, that is just one of the biggest victories of my life. And, in addition to supporting and positively being able to influence others' lives through my experiences. But just and I can go through and share more about that story as we go on. But the ability to have learned how to overcome that and how to shift and I would say heal in my own experience, not from a medical professional opinion. I still have lesions in my brain. They still consider I still have the diagnosis, but I have had no physical symptoms
Wow.
for almost that entire time. I had a couple little things at the beginning, like in the first year and a half or so, but very, very minimal. And it's been with a lot of intention, a lot of faith, and a lot of action, really. But action from a place of belief and faith in myself and in my higher power, and knowing like I'm acting from that place, not acting from fear and worry, and being willing to choose how I experience that. So
I love that because, MS is, I've had a few friends with MS, and it can really be a drag down, just drag you down for years and decades until it's really hard to function. So what you're doing is, to be quite honest, is miraculous. But I love how you're like, you took action. And so, I mean, before we get into some of the action, what were some of the obstacles that you had to overcome, those things that stopped you? It sounds like maybe mentally at first you said all of a sudden there's a mourning process of like, wow, this is what my life dreams look like. Now maybe it's gone. But any other obstacles come to your mind?
for sure. And I had an interesting experience in terms of my mindset at that time. I will say the physical obstacles, I couldn't walk. I couldn't function. I couldn't move. I had to, I was in the hospital for only for a couple of weeks, I believe, actually, because as I started to make progress and they sent me home and I had support at home. But just the physical obstacles of not being able to tie my shoes, not being able to write. I was right-handed, so, and I was in my fourth year of university, and I was determined to finish with all my classmates. But I had to obviously extend my exams and delay some things, but I still was able to finish with like fast track some things. I've got some exceptions on things and been able to fast track. I remember this one experience where I was at home with my parents at the time. They were helping me. And I asked my mom to put on my mascara because I couldn't do it with my right hand. There's many things I figured out how to do one-handed, but that one was like too dangerous, putting this black pen at my ear, at my eyeball. And she said, "Do you need your mascara today?" Just a kind comment. She was doing so much for me. It's helping so much. And I'm so incredibly grateful to my dad as well. But that made me cry. When you have these unusual, unexpected challenges, whether it's with health or whether it's the loss of a loved one or whether it's something else, like there's like these little unexpected moments of grief that can come from the simplest things, like not being able to put my mascara on.
Yeah.
That was like it's just a silly example because there's many bigger things that were more challenging. And I just want to acknowledge in my own experience, and I know in so many others, it's not always the biggest things that cause the moments of grief and sadness. It's sometimes these small things that represent my freedom and my self-image and my self-confidence. You definitely don't need to have makeup on for that, but that was important to me just to be able to, and I was 21, right? And it was like that was a moment that made me realize I can't, these things I can't do on my own right now.
Mm.
And so that was, yeah, anyways, just to answer that question, there are physical limitations. The mental limitations or obstacles, I guess I would say, part of it came from the worry of others.
Mm.
Others thought, I don't think Nicole heard the doctor when he said you may or may not regain functionality. You may be paralyzed for the rest of your life. And I was, and I, so, it, so I heard the worry and fear and concern of genuinely from others, which I would be the same if it was my child and my friend, right, in that circumstance. Um, and for me, I had this unwavering faith. So this is what I said. I kind of experienced it a little bit differently, and I don't, and I am grateful for that was my experience, and I know that's not the experience for many because they slip into the fear, worry, and doubt, and I did a little bit. I'm not immune to it, and I was able to really hold on to that for so long that even with all the worry and concern of others, I heard them and I felt their concern and I didn't take it on for my own. And I said, I appreciate your concern. I got this. Like, we're going to be okay. And it was hard for others to experience my confidence because they're like, it's not a fact, right? I'm like, well, it's a fact for me. But I also will say, John, that I think I would have been okay
Mhm.
even if I didn't physically recover.
Whoa.
Right? Like I believed I was. I had belief that I didn't doubt that I was, and so I would say I 100% believed that because I had that belief, I went to all the naturopathic. I went to all the paths to find all the ways to heal, and because I wasn't living in fear, I believe looking back that I would have found I would have still been able to live confidently and happily regardless,
Yeah,
with
that's
intention and effort, and not without challenges. Let's be honest. But
I love that perspective because sometimes we get this vision that like, oh, my life has to look this way, or it's unsuccessful, or it's not meaningful, or it's not important, or I don't know. We just, but you're like, I'm gonna head that direction, but if it doesn't work out, I still will be a high functioning, achieving, powerful person. And I love that because there's just it's that way in life, just honestly, whether it's physically or just the
Mhm.
goals we set for ourselves when
Mhm.
things don't work out. We're gonna be okay if we adopt some positive mindsets and positive actions. So, can
Mhm.
you give us a specific action that helped you to keep going and to keep that positivity that you radiate?
One of the biggest things that and I will say at the time, I would have called it an unconscious competent. I was doing some of these things without being able to explain it to someone else. And since then, I've studied myself and psychology, and now I can articulate what I did at the time. Although at the time, I would say I was doing it um, not with intention, but not totally realizing the magnitude of impact of what I was doing. So the actions that I took, and I would definitely invite others to consider if you're going through a challenge right now. One is to have a version of a vision, have a version of something that you to look toward, even if it's small improvements. Whether for me, I had the vision of I actually have a very specific picture. I had a specific picture that I was married and my husband and I were running through a field like in a movie, and it was sunset, and our son, which was funny because we had only one son, but I didn't at the time I didn't know that was going to happen. But I had this vision that I was going to be running free. My body was working functionally, energized, happy, positive, and with our son. So I had this vision, right? And that was what drove me. I was like, that is what I'm going to experience. And it wasn't from this is an important piece. It wasn't from a place of I need this to be this way. Life has to be this way. I should have that life. Like it wasn't from this place of need or obligation or resentment if it wasn't happening. Right? Those are all lack based mindset. Those are all really rooted in fear, worry, and doubt and not enoughness, like feeling like you're not enough. So I had this vision from a place of I'm already enough as it is, and I'm creating more because I know I'm worthy and able to do that. So I want to differentiate. Have a vision is what I did. Again, I didn't know. And I'm explaining it now as if I knew what I was doing. I didn't know what I was doing at the time. I just happened to do this, and but it gave me something to move towards. Like I was like I am gonna figure out how to heal myself because that's where I'm going.
Mm,
And I have right. If you don't have anything to move towards, it doesn't have to be that grand. It could be small. It could be I want to be able to experience something on a anything, but something that is moving you towards something. A, B, I was incredibly effective, I would say, at practicing at
oh,
being grateful and appreciative of the people around me, of what I did have, and that is absolutely something I still practice today. And I would absolutely encourage anyone when you're in going through an obstacle, it's easy to think of all the things that are wrong. I can't move my hand. I can't walk. Well, I can't, how am I going to finish school? I'm probably not going to get finished. I could have had all those thoughts. And instead, I chose to focus more on how appreciative I was of, wow, I'm so grateful that I only live 30 minutes. My family only lives 30 minutes away from where I was going to school. So it was close. They could drive me to school once I started to be able to start to regain functionality and could walk with assistance. I had people to help me. I had friends that were visiting when I was even at the hospital, and we'd be laughing. They'd be pushing me in the wheelchair through the hallways, and I'd be like, "Oh my gosh, life is great. I have all these friends." Right? So just like kind of living through a lens of appreciation.
Mm.
You're human, so notice. So I really want to emphasize, I don't expect anyone listening to this, nor myself, to not ever feel the grief or the sadness or the fear or the worry. We can tap into those emotions and allow them to come through. And right, you're human. You're meant to have all the emotions, but it's just not staying there or letting it spiral or getting stuck and then feeling that state for an extended period of time. I was able to have moments of that, like the mascara and other similar types of experiences where I had moments of a breakdown and then bounce back up and be like, okay, let's go. Let's move on here. What are we going to do next? And kind of be able to recover through gratitude and appreciation. Thank you for listening. I know I'm explaining this in a lot of words.
Beautiful. And hey, before we go forward, I mean, I was looking you up on your website, and you can get a free gratitude journal PDF. And I went and I downloaded that because I love this idea. I was reading a nutrition book, and we're going through like all the supplements and things like that. And then all of a sudden the author gets to vitamin G, and I'm like, I've never heard of vitamin G. And it was gratitude. And the author's like, this vitamin G has helped, my clients who take vitamin G, gratitude, do better than those that don't. And I was just like, whoa.
My goodness. I love that. I'm definitely stealing that line. That is so good. And
Yeah.
honestly, like it really, because it changes your state. It changes how you feel. If you get up and you're thinking of all the good things that you have to be grateful for, you're going to be more motivated. You're going to be more calm. You're going to be able to, you know what, I will take a little bit of a step here. I'll be more willing to do things that are a little uncomfortable because I know how much I do already have, and I'm not. Right? It changes your state. So I believe it physiologically. I don't think that's just a saying. I believe that gratitude can physiologically change your body, not just mentally.
Yeah. And a practice came to my mind, and this might be helpful for somebody if they were in a hospital. And like you said, we have space for mourning and weeping and the grieving or whatever we're going through. But then we could switch it to gratitude. And that is like the process of like, okay, I got this IV in my arm. And it's like, uh, wow, think of the person that put that in. First of all, I'm grateful for them. Now I could think about, well, who trained that person? Uh, and then who trained that person? And I'm thinking, okay, well, who invented that IV, the needle that goes in there? Because, that wasn't around 150 years ago. And then the technology now, it doesn't hurt that much. It used to probably be a lot more painful. And then the chemicals coming in from that bag, who invented that bag and who made that bag? And I'm grateful for those people and the people. Oh, wait, this thing's plugged into the wall. I'm grateful for the person that invented electricity. Well, wait, where this building right here, somebody had to put that electric box in there and that wire and wire all that. So those people, I'm grateful for those people. And then somewhere that electricity, goes out to the street, and somebody dug a hole and ran a wire there or something like that. And I'm grateful for, you know what I mean? It just goes on and on and on. Like when you're laying there in a hospital and in a situation like you talked about, so depressing. But think of the millions of people. Literally, the technology has taken millions of people for you to get the medical care you're getting today. And if we could just see that gratitude, and one thing just leads to the other, it just like expands to where it's like, wow, I have so much to be grateful for. Not always easy to do, especially when we're in that woe is me moment, but super powerful.
You know what? And what I would even provide a little invitation
Cool.
when you're in that state of practicing intentional gratitude for all of those people. You mentioned a lot of people who had roles and
Yeah.
parts to play in that.
Yeah.
It's, and you may not be able to get to all of them, but the
Yeah.
nurse that walks in,
Yeah.
if you're thinking, wow, I really appreciate the nurses today, can you tell them that?
Oh,
Thank you. I really appreciate you today. Can you make a little joke, and you may not be able to make a joke. That may not be where you're at, but can you say thank you? I really appreciate what you're doing. I know nurses, you work long hours. Sometimes they deal with a lot of very difficult things, right? And just whatever. That's just in that specific circumstance. You can apply the principle of expressing appreciation in any environment. If you're at a restaurant, can you be just go out of your way to express appreciation to your neighbor, to those little things, it comes back
mm,
it to you just as much as it goes to them. You get to feel. I remember I actually did this with my son, maybe a year ago. We were getting tacos. Speaking of tacos, you mentioned tacos, I think, before we started. But we were getting tacos, and my son, as we were eating, he's like, "This is the best taco I've ever had in my life," right? With his dramatic 9-year-old. My goodness, this is the best thing ever. So as we were getting ready to leave, I just mentioned to one of the cooks who were there at the counter, I said, "My son said this was the best taco he's ever had in his life. Thank you so much." And then she was like, "Oh, thank you." Like you could tell she was like kind of caught off guard a bit by that little expression of appreciation. And my son asked me, he was a little bit embarrassed that I called him out, and I pointed out that he had said that. And he said, "Why did you tell her that? Why did you say that that was my best taco, mommy? That's embarrassing." And I just said, "Did you see her reaction? Did you see the smile on her face? Did you see how much she appreciated that I had recognized her work and her efforts, right?" And it's just like, "Oh yeah, you're right. She did look really happy,"
mm.
right? And
Oh,
we don't express appreciation. But I felt so good to have been able to give her the gift of gratitude right, and she felt good to be able to receive the recognition. So these are small things. These are tiny little things that you can do and that I have done to shift your perspective.
mm.
And it just makes life more joyful.
And that perspective leads to healing. It really does.
100%.
Yeah. And sometimes it's just like we say thank you, but sometimes it's like, hey, Nicole, thank you so much for what you've done for me today. And that little extra, like sauce on the taco, little salsa on the taco. Um, that little extra, that little pause, that little name, using person's name, that, and then just the sincerity of it can go so far that it just like, and it's not much harder. It's just like
Mhm.
like at the grocery store, checking out, and it's just like, hey, thanks, thanks, Tom. But what if you slow down and say, hey, Tom, I really appreciate what you're doing today. Thanks for your help. Boom.
Mhm. I did that actually once with there was a young man cleaning the floors in a store, and I was just felt inspired to say, this what you're doing is really important. I'm grateful that you're cleaning the floors. It's winter, and and I
Yeah.
really appreciate it. And he was so appreciative of being recognized. He went on and on to say, "I've been working here for 15 years. I really love to do a good job. I'm so proud of my work." And I was like, "Oh my goodness. Thank you." I'm so like, thank you. It was such a cool little moment again. So I know we're giving, a variety of examples. And if people leave here and a nugget they take with them is to just express a little bit more appreciation, the ripple effect of that is huge.
Yeah.
If
And
the person they express appreciation to now feels better, and then maybe they want to express appreciation to someone else, and like, how does it affect your kids, your family? It's a really powerful concept that is underutilized.
yeah, so this shirt right here, the You're Awesome shirt, I started holding up signs because I was like, I never know who's hurting in the world. So I was like holding up signs as students came into school and stuff like that that said, You're awesome. And then I started wearing these t-shirts. Someone gave me a t-shirt for my birthday. And what I found out is this: the more I tell people you're awesome, the more people tell me I'm awesome. And it's like, when you're young and you're, going through a hard time, you're thinking, well, I'm going to tell people they're stupid. Or, I'm thinking teenagers. You know, you
Yeah.
say mean things. Well, then people say mean things back to you. But man, when you show kindness, it's crazy. When I was 15, I would have loved for people to say, "You're awesome" to me. But guess
Mhm.
what? I wasn't telling anybody they were awesome. So they're not going to tell me. So, I mean, it's kind of this subconscious thing that's kind of happened is like the more I tell people positive things, the more they tell me positive things. So I'm like, what a magic formula. You know, I'm not doing it for that, but it's like, wow, if somebody told me this
100%.
at 15, I could have had a lot more, positive messages come in my direction instead of spreading the negative.
100%. It's a win-win, right? It's a genuine, this is a great example of a win-win. You both win. There's no losers when you're
So,
expressing.
what's your favorite way to celebrate? You know that do you have a little because the R at the end is like celebrate the results and just celebrations part of that positivity we got to keep in our journey and our battle. Any thoughts on that you could give?
You know what? It's interesting. I find for me, I have some hobbies that I really enjoy that I give myself more permission to do. I like to give myself permission, and I really like to share my experiences with my family, so they get to come along for the ride when we're working towards a new opportunity, even in business. When I was writing my book, like they were cheering me on. My family's like, "Oh, when's it coming?" So I like to include my family in the journey so that we can celebrate together.
I love
It's
that.
not a singular piece. And then I love to it's funny, for some reason it sounds weird, so I was hesitant to say it, but I love doing CrossFit personally, specific. I love just exercise and being outdoors, but I specifically really love that form of exercise. Probably because I feel so strong and I know what it was like to not feel strong. So I'm like, well, I love that my body can do this. So I feel like I'll give myself permission to say, you know what, part of your reward is to go to CrossFit. And most people are like, how is that a reward? That sounds like a punishment. For me, it is a reward. When I've got a lot going on, there's a lot of other things I could be doing with my time, and I'm choosing to give myself the opportunity to do. I would call that self-care for me personally, and it's a really rewarding experience physically.
Uh, is it taking time to find your celebration, your little win, and or little celebration after you win? Like it could be a high five to a neighbor and saying, "That's like me. I got this." I love how you celebrate with people, and I love how you reward yourself by something positive. And and it's interesting what you're doing. I mean, we said I was joking earlier, but you look 21. I mean, I was serious, but your reward is a positive reward. It's not a destructive reward to your health. Most of us are like rewarding ourselves with, I'm going to eat 2 pounds of cake, and
Yeah, and that's okay once in a while as well, right? In everything in moderation. Yeah.
but when you reward by taking care of yourself, it's a double win too, you know. And so, well,
Yes.
let's wrap up. And before we go, wow, what an amazing talk conversation we had. Thank you so much. Before we go, the tradition here is we don't just talk about victories, we claim them, because when life gets hard, we rise, we face obstacles, take action, and keep going. And around here, that spirit has a name: never give up. So wherever you are watching from, and I want to say it with, I want you to say it with us on the count of three. We're going to say, never give up. One, two, three. Never give
Never give up.
up. Let's go. So thank you so much for Nicole for joining us. And I mentioned that you could get that free gratitude journal PDF download. Can you just tell us where you can get that? Somebody might be interested in that.
For sure. Thank you for asking. Yeah, it's actually NicoleKernohan.com. If you just go to NicoleKernohan.com, it's an abundance journal, and then there's practice of gratitude in different areas of life. in abundance in all areas, not just financial abundance. It's right in there, the drop down. And my book is also accessible through, it's on Amazon, but it's through, if you go to NicoleKernohan.com, you can find other nuggets of things, or if you'd like to follow me for more nuggets, you can follow me through there as
Title of
well.
your book?
My book is Audacious Joy.
I mean, doesn't that? I mean,
Yes.
I saw that title. I was like, I'm downloading a PDF. It was 2.99 for the Kindle
Yep.
on
Yep.
Amazon. I'm like 2.99. I can handle 2.99 for an
How could you
audacious.
resist? Yeah, it is really powerful. I do share in their practices of gratitude, other ways to use words and how language affects how you feel, how you think, and all these all these concepts that applied in my life, but I didn't know how to put words to them at the time, like I said, and then studied it over the past 20 years. And I'm so honored to be here and be able to share this. So thank you so much, John.
All right, thank you so much. Because the human race was never been meant to be run alone, please join us on the Roar Gallery. And if you'd like to share your story, please reach out to us there because we want to spread positivity, and hope is a team sport, and we never give up on each other. Have a great day, everybody. You, my friend, are awesome. Bye bye.